Hello everyone, welcome to the Green Man channel. In this video, this is going to be the first video of a series of videos of me talking about my favourite shoegaze and dream pop albums. Now these two genres often, or terms often used interchangeably. Shoegaze often associated of course with lo-fi, breathy vocals, lots of effects. And dream pop isn't so dissimilar. I mean, perhaps you might associate that more with jangly guitars and electronic elements, but the two genres, two terms, as I say, often used quite interchangeably with the music because it kind of has a certain atmosphere to it. You can often listen to a song and think, yeah, it's very identifiably a shoegazy song or a dream pop song because there's lots of reverb, lots of echoey, lots of a kind of ghostly feel almost to the music quite often. Now, the first album I'm going to talk about here actually is quite often called sort of slightly dream pop shoegaze album, but it's perhaps not so a perfect fit into the genre, perhaps slightly controversially for the first episode, but it's such a good album and it had such an impact on me. Just last year, at the sort of dawn of the pandemic, everyone going into lockdown in a time of uncertainty, and this album just came to me just at the right time. And I'm glad I didn't discover it when it came out in 2017, this album by Alvvays Antisocialites. I'm glad I didn't discover it until last year, because the album felt like, as I say, it was just, there was something really quite sort of, really quite brilliant about it. It doesn't feel like anything, too complex. Obviously, I generally err more on the heavier side of music, right? But this was there's sort of the melodies in this, the songwriting, everything is so cohesive. You've got little elements of, bits of variety here and there with some pop punk stuff going on. It sounds at times like, this could be an album that came out almost in the kind of late 1970s, but it's just a really wonderful album that's been put together by this band. Molly Rankin is the lead singer, and is the vocals, and he's on guitars as well. Then of course you have Kerry McClellan on vocals and doing, I think it's the electric organ, Brian Murphy on bass guitar, Alec O'Hanley on guitars as well, and Chris Dadge on drums. And these, five band members put together absolutely magical music together. And, I think you can talk about genres for so long, but ultimately, when the talent just comes together and the music is put together very well, then you end up with a very good album. And it's pretty much what's happened here. It's also very, very well produced. Sonically, this album feels gorgeous. I mean, it's a step up from the sound, in my opinion, of their debut album. Antisocialites is Alvvays' sophomore album. It just feels like, sound-wise, this album is certainly a step up from that debut album that they put out in 2014. So Antisocialites, I mean, I kind of look at the tracks on here, and In Undertow was the first song I hear. It's also the opener on this album, and wow is all I can say for this song. This is how you would start an album and make an impact on someone. The music is in all ways phenomenal. The verse, the nuances in the little vocal touches here and there, particularly at the very end of the song, you're just left in awe by the final sort of, I think it's the final kind of note, that final word that Molly sings, "There's no turning back," and on the back she accentuates it slightly. It says "no turning back," and I can't really sing very well, so apologies for that, but to just demonstrate, I mean, there's just so many little things like this within this album. I mean, Dreams Tonight has wonderful moments, I think, in the verses. The chorus is gorgeous, and that's a very, very dream pop number. Plimsoll Punks, of course, by the name, it is a slightly punkier, slightly more up-tempo song, that one. But it brings you right back into the album again. So I think if it was all slow and all dream pop, I think you'd become a bit distant. But this album draws you right in again with Plimsoll Punks and gets you kind of thinking, oh, this is a bit different. But it goes this really interesting electronic section before the end, before going into Your Type, which is again more up-tempo, still keeping you really interested. And then you get, for me, one of the other really, really strong tracks on this album, Not My Baby, which has just an amazing bridge section to it. Again, an amazing chorus, wonderful guitar jangles here going on. And for me, that's another incredible song. Perhaps, naming my favourite tracks on this album, you'd have In Undertow, Not My Baby, but also I could say Dreams Tonight, Plimsoll Punk's quite easily your type, also very good. Now you've got Hey, which is one which slows down a little bit more. I think Lollipop is a very, very catchy kind of a number. Perhaps a kind of track people might find a touch annoying because it's so infectious, that track. Already Gone, quite an emotive track as well. Saved by a Waif, kind of, that sort of certainly has a bit of a shoegazy feel to that one. And the final track, Forget About Life, the very last cut on this album, does sort of leave you with a feel of you wanting to forget about life almost. It's like you're sort of looking up at the stars in the night sky, and Molly is singing along, saying, why don't you forget about life with me tonight under a condominium sky? And it is just wonderful. It's simple. It's very simple, that song, but the perfect way to finish this sort of an album, which has felt, quite short and snappy, and yet also quite deep and affecting. And that's the thing. This isn't a simple pop album. This is a deep and affecting album with lots of nuances, lots of things going on, beautiful melodies, great songwriting, and it's just, for me, the full package. It's this half an hour for me. When I first listened to this album, to the 100th time of listening to this, probably in the last 12 months or 15 months or so, the impact is still very much the same. That half an hour flies by, and that is Alvvays Antisocialites. Thank you very much for watching. As always, I say, like and subscribe if you want to. And I will obviously be doing an episode 2 some point relatively soon in the future for my favourite shoegaze and dream pop albums. See you next time, everybody. Take care.